Well, September 9th, we're kind of in the home stretch for grazing right now. And what I'm trying to do is, everybody'd like to graze, in my climate, 6, 7 months, 8 months if you can. Uh, but it's easier said than done. So cows are still grazing, but I think what I'm going to do now is supplement the pasture by feeding some hay right now and starting to close off more of the pasture, and then going to return them back to grazing. I had some new seeding alfalfa down the other day, about 50 acres. I got 25 acres of it baled. It's pretty high moisture, so the bales are starting to caramelize. So what I did is I put 4 bales in round bale feeders at this farm. I've got a couple other remote pastures I took some hay to. And then now I'm afraid though that I can't get all the bales fed before they start molding. They're pretty wet. I didn't probe them. It wasn't even worth the bother. I was in such a hurry to bale the other day, but they're probably pushing 35% maybe. So I'll show you what I got here on the ground. This bale's caramelizing, which is good. So it's a fine line between baling with the right moisture, having enough legume content in there so that it's got enough sugars and carbohydrates so it starts to ferment, or not ferment, but kind of caramelize. And that's really good. But I've also had bales, I baled kind of high moisture, they've turned to mold right away like white. So what I did is I took some bales now as a proactive strategy to prevent waste, and opened them up and unrolled them down a hill. This is how I bale graze. And some of these are caramelizing. You can smell kind of a sweetness in the hay. Yeah, and that's good. So, but I just don't know. They're warm. I mean, this isn't just warm. It feels hot. So these damn bales they're heavy. So I actually unrolled them. It's a pretty steep hill, and so I'm going to try that as a strategy. And maybe I've got a couple weeks worth of this hay. Not quite. Probably about 10 days worth of this hay. And I've got some other pretty nice hay that I'm going to throw out on, and start feeding them. It's like second cutting, but it's got a lot of weeds in it off of new fields that I did. I did quite a bit of new seedings this year, and I will go ahead and do that and see if I can get some good weight gain on these calves early. My cows right now are breeding back, and so get that optimal nutrition now, rather than insisting that they just graze. You look around, you see a lot of grass here and there, but unless you got really thick, lush grass, at some point these cattle are expending a lot of energy and not getting the weight gain you would like. So we're really running into good growth right now. We've had a really rainy week, thankfully. So we're going to get some good fall growth. These grasses are going to have a lot of sugars in them, these cool season grasses. They do thrive in this colder weather. We don't really have a lot of warm season grasses, like the prairie grasses and stuff in this area. And so our grasses like the colder weather and rainy weather, and they'll start kicking in. And I could probably get another good month of grazing if I start strategically stockpiling my forage. Another thing I'll probably do later on is, you could see all these cottonwoods. I will cut a few of them down a day, and they'll do some leaf grazing. They'll eat the leaves, I don't really know how much nutrition they get out of it, but it's another strategy to extend the grazing season. Matter of fact, I did a video on that a couple years ago about leaf grazing. So, but yeah, I'm going to try something different this year. Give them hay a little bit earlier. and hopefully I can do some partial grazing into November, which would be, that would really be nice. You can see this is kind of a really overgrazed area, which this always is, real thin topsoil. Clovers are coming back, got some ryegrass coming in, so we'll see how it goes.